Hello everyone and welcome to this special TTG panel ahead of World Mental Health Day on the 10th of October. As we at TTG continue our Get Travel Talking campaign to raise awareness of and increase support for mental health challenges facing travel staff, we wanted to keep up those brilliant conversations the industry has been having, and what better way to do that than World Mental Health Day. It's a real pleasure to have three brilliant panelists joining me today to talk about their experiences of this incredibly important topic. So please welcome Gemma, Antrobus, Managing Director of Haslemere Travel, Tony Mann, Managing Director of Idle Travel, and Steve Witt, co-founder of Not Just Travel. Thank you very much for joining me today. Really appreciate it. I just wanted to start really by asking kind of how you all were, basically. You know, it's a bit of a kind of an easy question maybe, but not at these times. I know we've had some really useful good news over the last few weeks in terms of travel restrictions and countries opening up, but it comes at the end of a very long 18 months. Everyone's very tired. Everyone's very, I suppose, exhausted is a way to say. And perhaps, Gemma, how are you feeling today? How are you doing?
Exhausted. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think when you are your own boss, when you own a business, there hasn't been any let up for 18 months. And then we went straight into, you know, the demand picking up before staff coming back. And it just, you know, when I speak to people at the moment, I say, I feel like I'm in a washing machine on a fast spin cycle. It's like, sometimes you don't know what to do first, because there's so many more things that need doing nowadays. And that's a lot of that's around having clients traveling, which is absolutely amazing. But on the flip side of that, it's, you know, are their passports valid? Do their vaccination certificate match their name on their passport, let alone the entry restrictions to the destination and back to the UK? And have they booked everything in between and got insurance? So it's a lot. And it's a lot more work than we used to do with a lot less manpower. And I think that, on top of the fact that if you own your own business, you don't have anyone to share the load with, or very few people to share the load with, we're running on fumes. And I think it's you know, I justify it with myself that it's a period of time and this will end and things are getting better. And I'm thrilled to be so busy, and I would not ever knock that for a minute. But I have to justify it by that it is a period of time, because otherwise, if I thought this was forever, I just don't think I could cope anymore. So, you know, I take it, you know, week by week, which pass in a flash. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the times when we have more money to be able to employ more people, to be able to share the load with.
Yeah. And does that kind of ring true for you as well, Tony? You know, similar businesses in terms of agencies. Does it feel like you're kind of in that whirlwind kind of cycle, spin cycle? I like that from Gemma. Has it felt the same to you?
Yeah, I think it does. I think if you stopped, you'd collapse. You know, and I think at some point that's going to hit us. You know, so actually, I think it's going to hit everybody. You know, whatever part you're in the travel industry. And like Gemma said, you know, I'm quite lucky that you know, I have a small team, but, you know, I do see them and they're in quite regular. Luckily, I've got my daughter who works with me as well. And I think that's really important. And I know there are agencies where, if you like, they're on their own. And I'll be honest, I don't know how you cope. You know, I struggle and I've got somebody. And I think for the agents, and I've met plenty and spoke to plenty who are on their own, that, you know, they deserve more than a medal, because I just don't know how to cope. Because I think we're all ready to, at some point, just absolutely, you know, we can't stop, can we? That's the thing. Once we stop, we'll just kind of just have a sobbing fit and, you know, on the floor, I think, really. But, you know, but actually what I will say is I am feeling better in the position we're in. I can't believe, is it 18 months now or something? The past 6 weeks for us has been positive, in the sense of, you know, it has gone crazy the other way. So what I try and do is look at a positive, whatever that positive may be, even if it's just making a tea in the morning and I can make one, that's a positive. But any positive, you know, so I'm going to take all that baggage behind us, you know, to try and look forward. But I tell you what, hats off to people who are on their own. I don't know how you do it, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? It's just kind of that constant nature, I think, as you guys have alluded to there. And Steve, obviously, you know, for yourself, and also for the many members that you've got as well, you're kind of obviously juggling. Everyone's got staff, everyone's got a lot of members. What's it been like for you? As you felt like the kind of the weight of everyone's businesses, I suppose, kind of on your shoulders a bit at times?
It's been interesting, to say the least. I think a mix of excitement and exhaustion, like Gemma said, all at the same time every single day. And 2 months ago, if you'd asked me, I would have said you couldn't be any busier than we were 2 months ago. Yet today we seem to be even busier again, which is a good position to be in, but you sort of wonder how you can do it. And not just me, but the entire team absolutely been hit with a tidal wave of new inquiries and more things to deal with, which is a good position to be in. But put that on top of everything else we're already dealing with, it does make for we like to say excitement, because it's the better way to look at it, I guess. Otherwise, yeah, you could get a little bit depressed by the volume of work. But, I think we're all here today, which is great. So let's focus on positive, and let's put the last 18 months behind us and just focus on what's coming, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this. It does feel like a more positive time, obviously, but I suppose kind of the positivity now hasn't always been kind of that easy to come by. Actually, I was looking at the theme of World Mental Health Day this year, and would you believe it? Obviously, it's talking from a slightly different angle, but the theme is mental health in an unequal world, actually. And obviously, it's talking about access to mental health services in different parts of the world. But in a way, I kind of thought almost being travel agents and in the travel industry, that's kind of the position that everyone feels, especially in terms of the government involved and how other sectors have opened up. Tony, maybe does that kind of ring true to you? Do you feel as if from kind of a point of view, the travel industry hasn't been treated the same, and has that had an impact on kind of how you've gone about your life and how you've kind of run your business over the last 18 months, I suppose?
Yeah, you think that, obviously things that are out of your control, but people who are actually in control of our industry, and people who are even not in control in different departments, the things that they say have such an impact on you, obviously for business, but mentally as well. And they just don't think. So, you'll take any little thing, any negative news, whatever that might be, and it does chip away at you. And as I said, the people, unfortunately, run our industry, they've run it, but into the ground, they've got to understand some of the things that they need to say, or have said. They don't need to say it, actually, as it's like torture, isn't it? Mentally, it physically hurts you, and you take a sharp intake of breath and think, here we go again. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to take the positives, because I've always got to try and look, and try and spin something out of it. But wow, what we've all endured over the last 18 months is crazy. And as I said, that's everybody, from where that might be. Whatever your position is, it's just been so hard. And it even like today, we wait in, the Foreign Office say, oh, there's going to be 30 places or whatever it's saying today, and it's like, just shut up, just one person say it, and it just frustrates me so much. But yeah, so you can understand it's been a torrid time for lots and lots of people.
And Steve, obviously, you've got such different kind of a smorgasbord almost of people at different parts of their travel journey, more experienced people just joining the industry. What's that been like to kind of support them and look after them at that point? And also yourself as well. Like, do you feel it is a lot to undertake, getting these people into the industry at a difficult time that the industry's gone through now?
Well, if I start with myself, for example, and Paul, I think it's possibly been easier for us because we've just had to put head down and focus on helping everyone else. So we've not had time to think for ourselves, if you like. But what we've tried to do is create some structure and some certainty in a world of uncertainty, because travel industry has obviously been hit hard, but we're not the only people. And the whole world's been hurting. And in a good way, it's sort of, we've all been in a similar position. So there's a lot of people to relate to and talk to, and customers and your friends and family are sort of understanding more than potentially they could have been. So we've tried as far as possible to create, like I say, some structure and certainty for everyone, workflow throughout the day and throughout the week, some organization and regular meetings and daily what we call pulses. So there's an opportunity to interact with people on a daily basis, even though you're working from home, you're never alone. And so we try to do a huge amount to just keep people engaged, and we've had workshops, and we've brought outsiders in to sort of help with sort of mind and body coaching to try and really give people opportunities to engage and, like I say, some certainty in a very uncertain world. Even though you can't be certain about the travel, at least you can have a little bit of certainty about what you're doing with your days to give you some focus, rather than focusing on all the bad things that would be very easy to focus on if you were left just without structure, potentially.
And Gemma, kind of the same question to you really, and I suppose from a mental health point of view, have you kind of your own relationship with mental health, has that changed at all during this last kind of 18 months? Is it something that we all kind of spoke about a bit kind of in times gone by, but never really put that much focus on? I suppose when you're kind of fighting day to day to save your business and keep it afloat, does that kind of change your outlook on things?
It's a really hard one. Before COVID, I never used to really think much about my mental health because I thought I was a very fortunate person. I had a great business, a great family, friends, all those things that you would want in a life. And I'm very fortunate. I have a support network around me of friends and family who have really carried me through. And those have been from my own husband through to, best friends, but also travel industry colleagues. And I've really felt that we have become a much tighter community during this period of time, and we've really been there to support each other. And just speaking from my experience at ATO, with our network of travel agents, we've done things from the more formal webinars about with mental health experts, but then we've scaled it down to regular online meetings like these with just the agents, to just talk about agent stuff, like how you're getting on with your lease, what's happened with this, what you're doing with your staff, anybody got any luck with their business insurance, or all of those kind of things. And then even taking that down further to being part of small WhatsApp groups with agents, just to share, oh, for God's sake, this has happened, or yeah, great, look, another load of FCDO countries that nobody can sell a holiday to. And through doing those little things, which I didn't do before, I feel like I have been helped. I have helped other people, and other people have helped me to ride this wave of what has been, and I hope will be, the worst point of any of our careers and for our travel industry. And I think that Tony said talking positively, and we talk about pulling together. And at the beginning of the year, I wrote a little list about how I was going to deal with the year. This is the year ahead of me, and we were in a real horrid position, weren't we, in January? And it's, change negative thinking. And one of the things I wrote was forgive and forget. And I try and remember that when Grant Shapps or any other minister makes a faux pas, because we can't do anything about it. And if we harbour on that, it just takes us very quickly into a spiral downwards, and we become useless. So it's been really hard, but I certainly have not done this on my own. And I like to think that I've helped some people, and I definitely have had help from others to get to the point that I am at now. And I feel that we will all benefit from this going forward. None of us are experts in mental health, but we've all put individual things in place with our businesses, with our own personal lives, and our networks to pull together this industry. And one of the reasons I think the government ignore us so much is because we're such a strong industry. Look at us. I don't think there's any other industry that would have got 18 months without having any revenue, yet we have. And we've done it by ourselves, and we've done it by pulling together. And that's not only from a, sharing best business practice, but that's from a doing exactly what we're talking about. And that's pulling together for our own mental health. So I don't know if that answers the question, but it was just my take on it.
And then some, I think that's fantastic for answers all the next kind of questions that I've got here as well. But yeah, Tony, actually, just to come back on that, as a fellow agent like Gemma, do you feel like that? I know you've got a community up where you are in terms of local agents. So have you all kind of rallied together and helped people's mental health like that?
Yeah, absolutely similar to what Gemma said there. Only thing actually on Gemma's list, forgive and forget. I can't get that one. That's still on my list. It won't be crossed off. I won't forgive and I won't forget. But never mind. I have to work on that. Must do better. That's probably what I should say on mine. But yeah, that network of people, as you said, in Yorkshire and things like that. Actually, I was at the Yorkshire Ball a couple of weeks ago, so the first one for a couple of years. How amazing! Everybody, lots of people there. That was their first event, and they just said how amazing it was just to see people. The travel action day was more like group therapy than anything, to be honest with you. So things like that. That's that getting back to, if you like, some normality. But it's good to have them things around you. Even actually, the last couple of weeks, we've been inundated for our customers. I don't know if they realise how much they brought us. Honestly, we've got tons. So we're outside of Morrison supermarkets. Our shelves are more stocked with sweets and cakes and wine than in the store. And actually, so even things like that for all of us, all the team, just means so much. So having your family around you, your team around you, to be honest, we all went out last night for something to eat with the partners and things. You need to do that, and all them other agents. And as Gemma said, you start saying that, we go through, did you know this? Did you know that? How did you do that? Are you looking at testing there? So it's, we are a strong community. Absolutely. Look, I think not many industry would have come out 18 months and still survived as many people as they have. It still amazes me that we have at that point, because of how we've been left to kind of fend for ourselves. So yeah, absolutely. I still love being a travel agent. I am still lucky to be it, even though at times, I'm not going to lie, I've gone home, I've cried, I've not slept. The first time in March when you had to leave your office, not knowing what was going on, thinking it wouldn't be that long. And then, the time at home at the beginning, just in lockdown, was terrible. So, so we let's hope we've turned that corner. But absolutely, I think it's a lot of people, isn't it? I think, people around you, your family, your friends have all been affected in some way. So it's quite important, is your mental health. And as you said, it's not something I'd have particularly looked at before, but something that you need to check on people around you, wherever that is, whether that's your team or your friends and your family. It's quite important.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear kind of the togetherness that you guys have got within your agent peers, and also nice to hear that Idle Travel has got no supply chain issues at the moment, unlike Morrison's there. Tony's well stocked, which is good to hear. Steve, actually, on that point, in terms of that kind of camaraderie that you guys have at Not Just Travel, is it something, and you personally, I suppose, was mental health something on your agenda long before this? Is it kind of something that you're passionate about, and was it how your kind of relationship with it changed over the last year and a half, I suppose?
Well, I don't know if you know, but my brother passed away of a mental health illness in December last year, which had obviously hammered home a lot of these issues to myself and family. And we shared the journey with everyone in our sort of business as well. And we raised a lot of money for charity for Mind in the process. And I mean, Tony was talking about the support there. It was really interesting that March last year, when lockdown happened, one of the first sectors of the NHS to be hit was sort of the support for mental health issues. And the NHS do a fantastic job, and they can't be everywhere, but it was very noticeable that my brother lacked a lot of support. So I learned a lot about what was needed, and we tried to utilize sort of my first-hand knowledge, if you like, to help the rest of the business. And that's why we implemented so many things so quickly to engage people. We helped people find work. We helped with daily interaction with people, and from the WhatsApp group, like Gemma mentioned, to video conferences. We have a Friday tavern, and so we do a lot of things like that. And we've brought in, like I say, third-party people to help with the mindfulness and helping each other. And then as quickly as possible, we've gone back to physical events as well to try and get people together. So I think we've tried to be very honest and open, and we've not shied away from these things. And like I said, my brother's journey was a big part of what we spoke about, so that you'll see in a lot of our marketing, for example, we're always very positive, and a lot of the comments you'll read in the trade press will be very positive from us, but we're also very realistic. It's been a rubbish time, and we don't mind saying it, and we don't mind saying that the effect it's had on everybody, because you've got to put a positive spin on things, but you also have to be realistic. Otherwise, it's everyone thinks what is right for you. You're nice and positive. Well, no, hands up. I've had a naff time, and a lot of people have as well. So we'll talk about it, and I think it's really important to talk about it, because as much as we all do talk about mental health issues these days, and it's not so much of a stigma, I think we still don't know what to do about it. So we've tried to help, and I think we all need to do more like this, to not just say it's okay to talk about it, but here's how to do something about it, because we're all still too embarrassed to go and talk to people, you know, especially us blokes. I think we're just rubbish at talking. So I think we've got to do more to say, look, it's okay to, you know, go home and be miserable sometimes, but it's what happens next that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, and on that point, Steve, just to kind of stay with you, is there any kind of advice and any kind of tips that kind of have helped you and that you found from the journey that you've been on, that maybe, obviously, like Gemma said, you know, we're not experts at any point, but obviously we're all just trying to help and trying to, you know, keep that conversations going. But are there any tips or advice that you kind of want to share that's helped you particularly? Or?
Well, I think talking is obviously really good, but I'm not a talker as much as, you know, I could come on these things, but I'm personally, and I'm shy. But things like physical fitness and diet can have such an impact on things. I mean, one of my best things I've done is a intolerance test, and I worked out which foods were actually having a negative impact on me and actually made me feel lethargic and tired and depressed. As crazy as that may sound, changing your diet can actually affect something. You know, it's not for everyone, don't get me wrong, and that's just one solution. But fitness and engaging and forcing yourself into situations that you probably would rather not do can have an impact. But seek some advice and work out what's the best thing for you. And there's not one solution, I don't think. And for some people, the doctor may be the best solution, but I think that's quite a long, drawn out process. So sometimes it's worth investing in talking to people. And I know ABTA have some great sort of support services as well. So, you know, seek advice, and I'm more than happy to talk to anyone who's, you know, finding it tough, doesn't know where to turn to, and I can share some advice and support of what's helped me. And I'm sure these, you know, Tony and Gemma will do the same. But, you know, if anyone ever wants to email me, just, you know, drop me a line, and I'm more than happy to help.
That's really, really kind of you to say, Steve. Thanks very much. And in terms of Gemma as well, Gemma and Tony, are there anything that you guys have picked up, or kind of you've learned about kind of how you go about things, or anything that's been useful at all? I don't know. It seems like such a long journey, hasn't it? For a lot of things. But I don't know, Gemma, is there anything that kind of any nugget of wisdom or any advice that you've kind of taken on and used to benefit yourself?
I echo what Stephen said in terms of about fitness and about health, and I'm no pillar of fitness or health, but I had really underestimated the power of doing some form of exercise. Now, you do whatever you feel is right for you, whether that's walking the dog, but I just before COVID hit, I joined a gym that you would never expect me to see, and I joined a muscle gym because I realized that if I was going to do any form of fitness, I had to be so far out of my own comfort zone that it forced me to go. And then of course COVID hit and we couldn't go, and then they opened back up with restrictions, and we were able to go outside because it's on like an industrial estate, again, not where you'd imagine to find me. And
quite the picture.
Well, you know, we'll find some pictures. But I really suddenly valued this, you know, an hour 3 or 4 times a week that I was going, how much it helped my mental state, because while I was there, I couldn't think of anything else, otherwise I'd hurt myself. So, and I really had underestimated that power before we went into COVID. And so it was really important for me to keep that up. So when we went into lockdown again in January, and I was thinking, how am I going to do this? At that point, we were, I think, going to be locked down for 6 weeks, but we knew it was going to be longer than that. And we weren't able to go back to the gym for many months. And so I made sure every day I was up early, walking the dog, doing something. I remember it was January, it was dark outside, it was horrible, but I had to do something to make myself feel like I was doing exercise, to be honest. And that really helped me through. And now I now make time for this. I now really value it. It's part of my lifestyle. It won't mean I'll ever be the fittest person in the world, but what it helps me to do is manage my levels of stress and keep going. And if that's the bit that it helps me with, that's absolutely fine for me. And I would say to anybody who doesn't have any form of fitness in their life, you can swim, you can walk the dog, it doesn't matter what it is, but try and find something that you can do that just takes you away, because with the whole working from home and that work-life balance, which none of us have anymore because we're just on the go all the time, you have to step out of that. And if you don't, it's going to be really detrimental to your own physical health as well as your mental health. But yeah, I would have said, other than that, and turning to people for support, finding other things you enjoy, a hobby perhaps if you have time. You know, the physical side of things for me was really important to help with the mental side.
Fantastic. I think everyone's found their own kind of also coping mechanisms, haven't they? And then and kind of a hobby or a kind of a thing that we do becomes, because we've been in this for so long, it becomes part of our kind of ourselves and our routine, doesn't it? That is so interesting, actually. I just wanted to kind of to ask kind of finally, as we kind of when we go around the room, but Tony, perhaps in terms of your time in the industry and in terms of the outlook on mental health that the industry has had. I know we kind of touched on it at the start, I think Gemma did, in terms of how people approach it and how we all talk about it. Do you feel like there has been some good change, and do you feel like this change is a permanent one, or do you feel like it's of the moment and it'll pass, or kind of how do you see it? Do you think the industry has changed in terms of how it approaches mental health?
Yeah, I think it does. I think the thing is actually I'm going to get upset here, but my mum has had a mental illness, and so I think people are more likely to talk about it now. I'm sorry, I wasn't even thinking of talking about this today, but the thing with it is it's a bit of an hidden illness in a way, and it's not always can be physically seen. So my mum was always seemed really happy, a bit crazy. She was funny. She was definitely life and soul of the party, but unfortunately she did have that illness that kept creeping up on her. So what I'd say is that for other people, even if they look like things are not bothering them, they may be, and it is an hidden illness. And I think when my mum had it, it wasn't as it was a bit of a stigma about it. And I think more and more people can talk about it now. So that is great that people are willing, and the campaign that we've got here is excellent, and what a great time to do it, because people do need it. Even if you're thinking yourself you don't, you do really. It's chipped away, like Gemma said. Find something that clear your mind. Be able to try and turn off when you go home. It's hard. I know it's difficult and not easy every time. And whatever you've got to get some time away from, certainly in travel, just to turn your mind away. And whatever that is, whether that's sport, health, whether it's going to watch a film or read a book, or go for a walk, spend time with your family and your grandkids, whatever that is, you need to be able to clear your mind. But I think that actually it's come more to the forefront, and people are now willing to talk about it. And the more people that do talk about it, it then brings other people who would be willing to do that. Absolutely.
Fantastic. And Steve, would you agree? Do you think that kind of that's now been ingrained in businesses, in the industry, and that's something that we can't just let go and kind of move on from when we move on from this? Is this something that you're happy to keep on driving and keep a really important part of business?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's so important for business and everybody. It should be part of our sort of culture in any environment. So definitely, I mean, every event I've been to recently, there's been a lot of talk about it, and I think that's really good, and we should all definitely talk about it. But I guess one final thought for me is it's not actually the talking about it that's the problem. It's look out for the people who've gone quiet, because those who are suffering are probably not wanting to talk about it. They're probably going a bit more insular. So we all need to step up and look out for the people who are going a little bit quieter and are potentially suffering and don't know what to do about it. And this is our time now to really help more people by looking out for them.
Yes, it's such an important point. And Gemma as well, what would you say is kind of like the industry has changed its outlook, and this is kind of here to stay, would you say, in terms of mental health, and kind of how you kind of approach your own kind of journey with it? What would you kind of say, I suppose, to kind of summarize on?
I think for me, before we hit COVID, and whilst I would never want to rerun this fun ever again, you can't, when you're dealing with your teams and you're dealing with trying to help other people, it's really hard when you haven't experienced something yourself. And whilst I haven't, I don't have a mental health illness, or haven't been through the severity that some people have, I now have an insight into something that I didn't have before. And I therefore think it's much easier to identify, like we're talking about, when people go quiet, maybe help your team out with conversations that perhaps they don't feel confident in having with you as the business leader. And I think it's actually helped me to grow, not only as a person, but as the owner of my business. And I hope that in the future, I can be of more help to my team, and they can be to me as well, because it will be something that, you know, we're able to spot before it becomes an issue, or talk about before it becomes a serious issue. And that in turn, of course, helps with your business and productivity. So I think if we all continue to make sure that it's a very open situation, open door policy with conversations like this, they don't have to take place in the office, they don't have to take place face to face, however people feel most confident about it. I think that, you know, again, as I keep saying, whilst none of us, you know, would ever want to do this again, we are coming through the other side, and we have all learned, whether we realize or not, so much more about ourselves as people and as business owners, and that is only a positive thing. And what we do with that now and how we put that into action for the future is the really important thing. So I see this as part of the progression, and something that is such a long-term plan, and will eventually become ingrained into the general, you know, the makeup of what we do. If anybody's got small children, they will know that when they send them to nursery school, they talk to them about mindfulness. They do meditation from, you know, the really early years these days. So by the time this talent comes into our industry in the next 10 to 15, 20 years, that's something they're going to be expecting and be really willing to embrace and talk about. So we need to be making sure that we're up there with it. And I think we're on the right track.
Absolutely, that's such a kind of really, I know we've tried to be really positive this afternoon, which is brilliant, and that was a really nice kind of positive area to end, because things do seem like they're changing, although it's been so tough for such a long time now. Yeah, the kind of that kind of corner is being turned, and obviously, you know, people's views are being changed, and kind of how we approach things as well. But also, just to say before we end the session, I'm not sure if anyone knows or has seen, but TTG and Ab to Lifeline launched our Get Travel Talking Champions initiative at the Travel Industry Awards last week, and that's basically for independent travel agents to be fully trained as mental health first aiders. So if anyone's interested in being involved in that, or knows someone who could benefit from it or would like to, please get in touch with us or Ab to Lifeline. But just to say, Tony, Steve and Gemma, thank you so much for your time today. It's been fantastic. You've been so candid and so open. I'm sure this will be a really useful session for so many people. So thank you very much.
Pleasure.